Okay, so we have the first problem from the easy bucket. It's binary tree paths. So the question in this question we had a binary tree and we just have to return all the root to leaf paths. Like if this is a binary tree, then we have to return all the root to leaf paths like 1, 2, 5 and 1 and 3. So it's a pretty simple question and I don't think there should be any questions regarding this problem statement. So shall we discuss the approach regarding this problem? Anyone?
Hi Ashish, this side Tanmay.
Yeah, hello Tanmay.
Okay, what I did is just I just called recursion and I said my left and right. My faith was that my left and right subtrees will return me the answer, and then I'll just add on my own node to the answer. That is the array list, and then just return it. Simple, fairly simple.
Yeah, I did this same way, like what you said. It's something like a in order thing. Like I just changed, modified the in order traversal thing. I just used a base condition in the recursion. Like if we reach to the leaf node, then I'm just pushing back the path that I'm getting. And the first thing I'm doing is root dot left, and the next time I'm doing root dot right. Right. So it's like a simple recursion thing that I did.
Yeah, I did the same too.
Anyone else with some other approach?
Similar thing, but what I did is instead of creating that string in the actually passing the parameter, I actually had a stack and put all those things in there, and then just at the end when I'm at the leaf node, I just created a string out of it and pushed it into a result set.
Okay, so you mean you just use the stack for the reversal, like you just pop that
Yeah,
when
right,
you reach the leaf node.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So other approaches do you have?
Sorry, so you said you started doing that at the leaf node, and then
Pardon?
printed. No. So the stack approach is when we reach at the leaf node. So we start. Let's say in this example, start from 1, and then so 1 goes in stack, and then 2 goes in stack, and then 5 goes in stack, right? And then when
So I'm not starting from the leaf. I'm starting from the root only. It's just that whenever I reach a leaf node, I will create a string out of it and then go back. So every time I'm calling a DFS or the left node or right node, I will before moving on to the next level, I'll push the current value into stack, and once level is done, I'll pop that value out.
okay, and then you build the string backward.
Yes.
Okay, and then stack is so that basically when you go to the right, you put that left, you put that child, and then remove that when you come back, and then put the right.
Yeah, that's I just pinged the chat
Yeah.
on the chat part.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think I don't have any question about this. So basically, when we discuss this question, one thing is that if we can, also discuss what is the queue that get to the solution. Basically, by after looking the solution, it looks like okay, this is the obvious way to solve it, right? But if I just look the question and basically what thought lead me to the solution, that would be really helpful for anyone who is trying to learn.
Yeah, sure, Bhavesh. So, in generally, when I see this type of questions, like in a tree, obviously the traversal thing, then I generally go for a recursion approach. The recursion first that hits my mind, because in generally in any type of graph, it's either in order, pre-order, or post-order. So I prefer like looking the left then right or to the root node. So generally in the traversal questions, I look for recursion only.
Okay.
For me, the intuition that comes is like usually in this case, I have to anyway traverse the entire graph or the entire tree to come to a solution. And each of that solution is somewhat the path that is followed on this entire tree. So that's usually the intuition for me to use a DFS or BFS. If it's a level based, then BFS. If it's something which starts from root and the decision is to be made at the leaf, it's usually DFS for me.
Okay, that is good thing. The decision at the leaf is DFS, right? What if the tree is too big and we run out of recursion, basically stack?
Okay, so you're saying that.
Yeah,
So
I
then
have, let's say 10 million node, and that those goes deep down, 10 million.
We could do the similar thing by iteration to sorry. Actually, every recursion problem can be converted to iteration if I'm not wrong. It's just the way you approach it. Using recursion makes it easier, but if you wanna do it by iteration, then it's possible
but
to.
still the space will be same, right? If you go with the
In iteration case, you won't be like matlab, you're using a constant stack space, right? You're not using a stack space, so you won't get any overflow error. Like
sorry, I didn't get you will not. How is the constant space?
the reason that we get a stack overflow error in recursion is whenever a recursion call is called, I get one more recursion call over the on top of matlab, on the recursion stack. I just keep on adding my calls, right? So my stack gets filling.
Right.
But in the iteration case, I just call it once and then my for loop is running. I'm not calling that function once more. It's just a single block that's running again and again and again and again.
But in that case, after each call on the left, suppose it's a left skew tree. So every time you are doing a call on the left node, you're inserting into a stack, which is somewhere iterative approach of doing things, right? So you can add that to a stack. So even though it's not a function stack, it's still a stack that you have created yourself and manually inserting it into.
I didn't get you actually.
Yeah, so Puneet, I think that is correct. Just to add, I think there is a difference between we use explicit stack, then we rely on function call stack. Function call stack is always heavier, and a lot of time operating system put a limit on how much deep you can go.
That's good. I'm just talking in terms of the asymptotic, worst case scenarios kind of thing.
Yeah, so in
let's
worst case,
that.
Okay, finish your thought.
I was just saying, let's assume that's the space available in a function stack and a normal stack is same. In that case, probably both of them will be similar in terms of the complexity.
Yeah.
I guess that the stack that I'll be using, firstly, we'll be using a simple data structure that's storing data, right? So the data structure that I'll be using is generally formed in heap. It's not on the stack thing, okay? And heap memory is like quite larger when you compare it to stack. What happens in recursion is that when you call for a function, uh, its instance is created in the stack itself, the main stack we're talking about, the function stack. Then when it calls itself again, it's another instance is created on top of that instance. So in case of 10 million or something like this, I'll be creating 10 million instances on the stack, and therefore I'll be getting stack overflow error. But if I do the same for if I do create a array of size 10 million, it will be created in the heap memory. Heap memory is my CPU memory, uh, as in my hard disk, something kind of that. So it's quite bigger, and we can create it. I'll like give you an example. in C++, if we directly use an array and we create an array of like size that's too large, and then we call it within a function, that array is created in the stack, and while using the array you get your program will run faster, that's true, but you'll get stack overflow errors if your stack size is too big, array size is too big, and you kind of are calling it again and again. It will call the copy constructor and will get copied. Therefore we use vector, and what happens in vector is that we actually have a array pointer जिसका pointer is stored in stack. So our main array is now in heap. Therefore we don't get a copy constructor that's called, and stack overflow error भी नहीं आता.
I got your point, like using the memory space of heap instead of the call stack function set. I was just discussing about the, if memory footprint on
So-
both of the things is available in
Yeah,
That's the,
Yeah, that is so. Just to add what Ashish was telling, I think one thing is that you can use a stack, then you can use you can use a special technique. Like, what if there is an infinite tree? So you can use a technique, a window technique, where you basically archive the stuff that you are not using, and basically keep in memory what you are using. For example, you can archive all the things that you have seen so far, and then go to the next segment. So you can use this kind of technique probably with your own stack, but not probably with the OS stack, unless OS does that by themselves.
maybe kind of, combination of BFS and DFS, like,
Something.
do a DFS till level, suppose X, and, archive those results and then probably proceed with the next level.
Yes, and so basically, I mean, what if you want infinite memory? I mean, very large memory of stack. So you have a say 4 gig of RAM, but you want a stack of say 20 gig. So what you do is that you have a hard disk, so you use that to basically look at. So you don't want to work on all 20 gig of stack in memory, right? But you might want to say chunk of 500 MB. So whatever data you are looking, you load from your archive, keep it in memory, and then basically archive again. So, but I think your point is that if both are exactly same, OS stack has a little bit overhead, definitely a little bit more than what we think if we use normal stack. So if we use our own stack, it will always be faster. If still it goes beyond that, then probably we have to use this kind of special solution. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions, or shall we move forward to the next question?